cloudy, a little breezy out here, but well, monkey don't stop the show, right?
Hey, I'm Aja A, and welcome to Sunshine Haze. Don't forget to check out all the links that I have listed down in the description box, and if you like the video, please give me a little thumbs up. If you have any questions after the video is over, feel free to drop them down below. I try to respond to everyone. And if you all know people interested in astrology, numerology, tarot, or whatever I'm talking about on this channel, go on and send them this link. And don't forget to hit subscribe. And of course, thanks for tuning in and rocking with me. May this info help y'all live your best lives. Peace.
Hey y'all, welcome back to SunshinehazeCo. I'm Aja A. For those of y'all that have never seen one of my videos, I think the sun is trying to creep back out. I'm here for it. Come back. This is actually not a moon video, nor is it a tarot video. This is a part of the Retrograde 2020 series, and this video is for the Venus retrograde in Gemini. We are now in what I like to call the cluster of retrogrades, the retrograde cluster. Venus, I believe, is the third planet going into retrograde, coming in after Saturn. If I have the order correct, it's a lot of planets, y'all, so I could be a little off there, but it is in the mix, okay? For those of you guys that do not know, oh yeah, there's the sun, baby. Let's take this jacket off. I've been sitting here, the sun's been behind the clouds, the wind has been blowing. I've been sitting here like this, like, please stop, because I don't see no rain nowhere in the forecast. But I also live in Colorado, so the forecast does not really apply to us. It could do whatever it wants to at whatever time, and in the next 10 minutes be doing something completely different. That is Colorado. But anyways, for those of you guys that are not hip to astrology, let me give you a quick little definition of the retrograde. It is an optical illusion. It looks as if the planet is spinning backwards in the sky, but what's actually happening is the planet is actually stationing, what's considered stationing retrograde, and passing back over points or degrees that it has already passed over previously. So as far as the energy is concerned, I like to consider the retrograde times a time to reflect and correct in regards to whatever energy that planet governs and whatever energies that astrological sign is bringing in with it, okay? Venus is a personal planet, so this planet does affect us a little bit more in the physical, in comparison to like the outer planets like Saturn or Jupiter or Pluto. So we actually see and actually deal with the effects of Venus retrograde in the physical. We tend to know what it is. We tend to be dealing with it, something tangible, okay? This Venus retrograde is in the sign of the twins, in the sign of Gemini. Excuse me. So starting on May 13th, in 21 degrees, and it'll be ending on June 25th in 5 degrees. We'll be in the shadow period starting in early April, and then coming out of the shadow period at the end of July. So we'll be feeling the effects and dealing with Venus retrograde shit during that whole time, but it'll be a little bit more prominent during when the retrograde actually starts, when it actually ends, and in the shadow periods, okay? Mentioned earlier, Venus is retrograding in Gemini. Gemini is the sign of the twins. Gemini is typically a fun energy, associated with, you know, a communication and creativity and, you know, just very light, positive, fun air energy. I am recording right now, and I can see, you guys know the, because of the sun, there's a reflection. Because of the, because of the sun, there's reflection. Y'all know the, like, I don't know what year, I would say like the 80s, those pictures where you got like the front on and then you got like the faded to the side. That's what I'm looking at right now, and it is cracking me up. But if you know anything about tarot, Gemini in tarot is associated with the Lover's card, and so Venus is the planet governing love and indulgent and our finances and also our self-love and our self-worth. So that's what we're going to be dealing with during this time. So it is a compatible energy. It is a harmonious energy. Venus being in the sign of Gemini. Venus is a Libra-Taurus planet, and so Libra is compatible with Gemini. So it's a compatible energy, but because it is in Gemini, my allergies, y'all, I'm sorry. We're going to take a sip. I really like this Rowdy Mermaid kombucha, the Alpine Lavender. It's actually like, it's one of my favorite drinks. It's not too strong. You know, some lavender things can be a little intense, but I really like the flavor there. It's pretty light, pretty subtle, but it's also good. And it's kombucha. You can't go wrong there, right? But anyways, compatible energy, but it's also going to be a little wild because it is Gemini. All we got to say there, right? So with this being a retrograde period, we're looking at reflecting and correcting. Venus is in retrograde for about 40 days, so it's a quick retrograde period. So it's things that have to happen quickly, things that need to get fixed quickly, things that need to be shifted quickly, and it is in an air sign, and air is a quick moving energy, and a little butterfly just fluttered over here. So confirmation that this is quick moving. The things that are happening for you in Venus retrograde are going to be pretty fast. You're going to be moving through these energies like clockwork, okay? Because Venus is the planet that governs love and our relationships, for those of you in relationships, you may be going through the motions, so to speak, during this next 40 days and this shadow period. 1 minute feeling very into your relationship, the next feeling like, I don't know. For my singles, you might be in a position to where you're like, 1 minute, very Gemini here, okay? 1 minute you're like, oh, I want to be in love, I'm lonely, I need companionship, I'm in intimacy. And then the next you might be like, no, I'm fucking single and I love it and I don't want anybody tying me down. So going back and forth with what it is that you want in regards to love. And I would say don't pay too much attention to the faltering ideologies in regards to how you feel about your love life. It gets a little bit deeper as I go a little bit further into it, but as far as that is concerned, I wouldn't make any major moves right now. I would wait. In regards to your love life, like if you're thinking about moving in with somebody or breaking up with somebody, or if you're thinking about getting into a relationship or starting to go on dates and you haven't been dating for a while, I would actually keep it cute and try and stay and coast how you are right now, at least until the end of June, but really until the end of July. And then I would start to make some major moves and major decisions, because you will have had the time to reflect and correct in regards to your love life with this Venus retrograde by then, okay? To go a little further into that, because it is in retrograde, and typically, so when Venus is direct and it's in a sign like Gemini, and Gemini is the lovers, you typically tend to have a very affectionate energy. You have a very loving energy. You want to give love, you want to communicate, you want to spread love, you want to mix and mingle with people, right? This is a retrograde period, so during this time you may find it a little hard to be affectionate, you guys. And you'll be really looking at love like a mental thing, dealing with this air energy with Gemini. Air is associated with the mental, with intellect, with the way that we think and our perspective, okay? So because it's a retrograde period, and this is why I said don't make any decisions right now, because you're going to be going through the motions in your head in regards to how you feel about love, what you want in love, what you don't want in love, what you need in love, the types of partners that you've been dealing with, the types of partners that you haven't been dealing with, things of that sort. So it's very important to not be too hasty, too impulsive right now. On the shadow side, Gemini can be impulsive when they're not operating within their light energy. So just be very mindful, especially when it comes to love, because when we get a little bit deeper into it, love can be a foundational thing, okay? So just be very mindful of any changes that you want to make or that you think you might be coming into with this retrograde, and just kind of hold off on them, and more so give the energy to figuring them out and working through them in your heads. It got mad windy again, which means the sun is about to go back behind the clouds. Damn. I think my coal is done. So we're gonna, I guess we're just gonna burn that last piece, because it did not break off the way that I wanted it to. I have been making smudge blends for myself, and I really like them. And so what I have decided, you guys, is that I am going to be selling them. As of right now, I'm going to be selling 2. They'll be going up on my shop, my Etsy shop. I'm shooting for the beginning of June. I don't know how much they're going to be, but you know, they'll be there if you guys are interested in some smudge blends. Help you cleanse your energy, cleanse your space, and they also smell really good. And I make them with herbs, bless them with intention, you know, the drill. And they have a lot of different herbs and resins and things of that sort, and essential oils in them. So they smell good, and they also do carry and help you do spiritual work, okay? Tangent, shameless plug, getting back to the retrograde that I was talking about here. Anyways, looking at love like it is a bit of a mental, not a bit of, so really just lending your energy to looking at love in the mental, really figuring things out, really getting a grip on your logic around love, if that makes sense, okay? Because it is retrograde, you could see some past flings popping up. You could see some old work coming in, trying to communicate. I've already started to hear from a couple of my friends, people, one of them had somebody hit them up to apologize about how shitty they were. Another one hit them up just trying to see what's good, you know. So don't be surprised if, you know, old work comes back in trying to talk to you, either trying to just clear the air, trying to find closure, or trying to reopen or rekindle flames. Again, be very mindful in any moves that you make. Me, I don't suggest falling into old shit ever. So once you move away from that shit, it should be done. It should be good. Certain cases call for a circle around, but typically a lot of time will pass in between those things and the energy feels different. But just be mindful that old people could be popping up, especially karmic partners, okay? And I do not just mean that in the physical sense. You could be having, like, you guys know I believe in energy, so their higher selves could be coming to you in dreams. This has been happening with me, and I had to, like, literally sit here and physically say out loud, like, listen, I don't want to fuck with y'all. But if they're popping up, it could mean that there's work that needs to be done in regards to releasing them. There are cords that need to be detached from the two of you that you're still holding on to, that you may not have known about. It may still be lingering there subconsciously, or there just may be, you know, a little bit of energetic debris still lying over in your aura in regards to those situations. So just be mindful when these things pop up to not make any hasty, again, any impulsive, any crazy major moves, but to see it for what it is, put a little bit of Gemini, air, intellectual energy on it, and kind of figure it out. Try to figure it out, okay? Venus also governs money. Venus has a lot to do with money and our finances. So with this Venus retrograde being in the sign of Gemini, again, I'm talking about this air energy, this energy of the intellect. Geminis are smart. If y'all know any Geminis, like, they are the people that I know with that Gemini energy, whether it's book smart or street smarts or something in a field that they do, they are very, very knowledgeable and very able to articulate extremely well the things that they want to get across, okay? So we're going to be dealing with this Gemini energy in a retrograde period, reflecting and correcting in regards to our money. So over the next month plus a couple of days, really looking at our finances, really looking at where we lack, where we've been indulgent. We're talking about Venus here. Where we could do better, and then tapping into that correct energy. Again, this is only about a month, so again, I told you guys this is moving pretty quickly, so I would not be surprised if a lot of you guys come into some money during this next month or during the retrograde period, or prepare yourselves to come into some money for after, once Venus stations direct. I would not be surprised if a lot of you are like rewriting out your financial or your budget plans, or getting your banks or your savings or whatever in order, or kind of just reworking the way that you're dealing with your money. A lot of shifts in the way that we are handling money. Also, a lot of shifts in the way that we invest, thinking about investing, thinking about how we invest, where we invest, how it's going to grow for us. And again, be very mindful during this retrograde period. And you know what? I'm telling y'all this, but I did this the other day, and I did this because I saw my brother do it, and I should have thought about this because we are in a Venus retrograde. I invested, and he invested a little bit more than I did, but I invested into some stocks. Be mindful. I didn't invest that much, so I'm not too tossed over it, but be mindful. If you're thinking about doing these things, again, try to put them off until after, or do a lot of research if you feel like you have to do them now, but just try to put it off until Venus stations direct, okay? Listen, the wind came and said, listen, don't fuck your money up. And I did mention earlier that Venus has to do with our self-worth and our self-love. So with this being a retrograde period, and Venus being the planet of vanity and beauty and, you know, love and things of that sort in regards to the self, this is a time to where our insecurities could be popping up, okay? Gemini is a very extroverted energy, so during the retrograde period, we could be looking at how we are presenting ourselves physically, how people are looking at us, how people see us, and it's Venus, so we could really be looking at our looks, looking at our bodies. We may start to feel a little uncomfortable. We may start to pick and poke at the things that we've been insecure about for the longest. Might be looking at, you know, crazy ideas might start popping up. You know, if you've gained a little bit of corona weight, you might be up here thinking about lipo. But again, this is a retrograde period, and that's a crazy, wild Gemini, blowing in the wind idea. So just be mindful of the things in regards to your self-love and your self-worth, okay? And take the retrograde energy, harness it, and use it in a positive way, as opposed to just being consumed by the negative aspects of what you find out and what you're tapping into. Harness that retrograde, reflect, and correct energy in. Okay, if you gain some weight, instead of thinking about lipo, what can you do while you're still safer at home? And do that. You know, all you're doing is sitting on the couch watching Netflix and eating cookies. You can still watch Netflix, put the cookies up, do some crunches while you watch the Netflix. You know what I'm saying? Do some sit-ups while you watch the Netflix. Do some squats while you watch the Netflix. Thinking of ways to go about fixing, and I don't like to say fixing, but fixing the things that we are not proud of or that we don't care to continue to present to the world, okay? Coming up with plans and ideas. So if it's like something physical, say you want like dental work, or say you're thinking about like dyeing your hair, or say you're thinking about doing something of that sort, plan it out now, and then when Venus stations direct, start to make moves on those plans, okay? Don't dye your hair right now, babies. Your hair will fall out. Venus retrograde shit. I did that once. One of the first times I dyed my hair, and I looked back at the transits, and I did dye it. I think I dyed it right at the beginning of the retrograde, and when I tell you guys, my hair used to be extremely long. Like when I straightened it, it used to be long. When I wear it curly, it used to be just, you know. I dyed it, and within like 3 months straightened, and I was still putting heat on it. My hair was up to here. And that's actually one of the reasons why I went natural, because I was like, oh no, very Venus of me, but absolutely not. We are not about to be out here like that. My hair is only gonna be short if I decide for it to be short. So that is how I got my story. That's how I got my hair health together, if you guys were wondering. Usually takes something drastic for you to be like, no, I need to take care of my head. I need to take care of myself, usually, you know. I lost a lot of weight a couple of years ago dealing with anxiety and mild depression, and it took for me going to the doctors and seeing that I weighed 109 pounds on the scale for me to be like, oh, no, I need to get my mental together. I need to get my health together. And I started putting my weight back on. So, you know, don't set yourself up for failure and do drastic shit. Granted, that second story, I couldn't really help why I lost the weight, but I could shift it. Don't do nothing drastic during this next month. Just hold off in regards to your appearance, but you could plan the drastic moves. And then if you're still feeling them by the time Venus goes direct, then go on and do it. Okay? All of that talking just to say that to you guys, okay? One of the major aspects that'll be happening with this retrograde is that it will be squaring Neptune until May 25th, which could point to, you know, like I was just saying, major insecurities about our looks, also being a little gullible, and also shady shit that's happening in our love lives coming to light, but kind of being a little bit explosive. You're dealing with a square here, which is not a harmonious aspect, and then you're dealing with wild ass Gemini, and then all Venus tied up in the love and the emotions and things of that sort, okay? Also keep in mind that there might be a little bit of a lack of self-discipline with this square going on. And keep in mind that the square is only happening until May 25th, and then we deal with the shadow for a couple of days, right? But this retrograde starts in a Taurus season, which is Venus, so it's a whole bunch of compatible energy, but when you throw that Taurus indulgent aspect into it, you could be a little lazy, you could find yourself lacking in self-discipline, so just be mindful and be careful of that, okay? I want to put my jacket back on, it's getting a little windy. On the shadow side, Gemini can be a little aloof, a little ditzy, a little all over the place, and a little impulsive, so just be careful, be mindful, like heed the warnings that I'm giving you about doing impulsive things. That's one of the main things, is to not do anything impulsive during this next month, because afterwards you're gonna be like, oh my gosh, that's not what I wanted to do. And just be mindful of just blowing in the wind. This is a time where you were supposed to be tapping into the intellect as opposed to getting lost and tossed in the sauce with it, okay? Very quickly, talk to y'all about the numerology. starting on a 4-day in 21 degrees. So we've got the energy of intending in placing our manifestations, planting the seeds of our manifestations, and then that 21 breaking down into 3 and really, you know, visualizing our intention. So it's really time to reflect and correct on the Venus things in our lives, the things that we want to see in love, the things that we want to see in our finances, the things that we want to see in regards to how we treat ourselves and how we care for ourselves and how we present ourselves, right? It's really just a time to look at those things in a positive light and to start to manifest them in the physical. Okay, plant positive seeds. All right. This is ending on an 8-day in 5 degrees, so that's a very intense energy there. 8 is a karmic number. It carries a very high spiritual vibration. It's the number of infinity and the number of cycles, and then 5 is the number of change and transformation. So this points to a karmic shift actually, and an ascension. And I literally, my note is an ascension to a positive perspective in regards to Venus things. So moving out of the dense energies that we have in regards to our finances, moving out of the bad habits that we have in regards to those things, moving away from, you know, going back into the not so good love cycles, going back to the partners that are really not good for us, that are no longer in alignment with where our souls are right now. Moving away from beating ourselves up, moving away from looking at ourselves in a negative light, and moving into a more positive space in regards to the things that Venus touches in our lives, okay? And with that Gemini energy, it really does lend a little bit of it really uplifts things. It's the best way that I could put it, okay? So, all that being said, time to reflect and correct, time to get rid of old baggage and prepare for the new and fun processes that we're processing. That is one word. I am a writer and I can spell my ass off and I can pronounce the fuck out of some shit, but that is one word that I've always had problems with. And we're also going to be coming into a rejuvenated sense of the self, okay? So Venus retrograde is actually positive for us during this time. Just keep in mind that the Venus things may come in a little wild because we're dealing with Gemini, but it's a lot to think about and it's a lot to process, but do the work and it'll turn out very harmonious, very positive, very abundant for you, okay? With that being said, that's it for Venus and Gemini. This Venus retrograde in Gemini. That's it. That's all I got for you. Check out the other retrograde videos. I've got the link to the retrograde playlist down there. We are in the retrograde cluster, so it's a lot of retrogrades happening. I also have May and June tarot forecasts and pick a card spreads up or coming up depending on when you watch this video. And I also have a retrograde sale. Why can I not talk? A retrograde reading sale going on. My Etsy is linked down below. Just go to the retrograde reading and it is on sale on the shop. Okay, guys? Thank you guys for tuning in. I'll catch y'all next time. Peace.